Today is Monday, September the 29th, and I am not in your classes today. However, you might see me in the hall, so don't do me with behavior today because I will find you. Um, Today, you're going to take notes over unit rate, and this is all my classes, so I'm talking to my pre-AP and my regular classes. So, teachers, if you want to pause the video at this time so that the students can go get markers so that they can prepare to take notes. If that's a problem for them, then you can have them sit down and they can just use whatever utensil that they have because using the materials here is a privilege. And if they can't work with it, then they don't need to do it. So you can pause at this time if you need to. Okay, so for my regular students, you're going to be on page 48 in your journal and you're going to title this unit rates. For my pre-AP students, you're going to be on page 26 in your journal. So regular students, which is periods 1, 5, and 6, you're on page 48. For my pre-AP students, 4th and 7th, you're on page 26. And both of your journals are titled unit rates. All right, so first of all, we need to know what unit means. Well, unit means one. Unit means one. So I have some pictures here, don't laugh at my pictures, and they are to help you remember what exactly unit rate means. Well, my first picture, ways to remember, is a unicycle. And if you notice unicycle, uni has one in it because it means one wheel. Unicycle, one wheel, one cycle. If you look at my next picture, it's my little funny man. He has a unibrow. Unibrow meaning one eyebrow because it's connected. It's not separate. So unibrow, one eyebrow. And then my unicorn because he has a horn, one horn on his head. Unicorn. So these are my ways that I think of when I think of unit rate. I'm trying to find one of something. Well, let me give you an example. Well, let's say I go to the store, right? And a lot of y'all go to the store, you got $1 or whatever, and I know y'all seen them chips, and they're $2 for $1. But a lot of times, I don't want 2 bags of chips. I just want 1 bag of chips. And so to find the unit rate is to find one of something. Well, if I have my dollar and it says 2 for $1, I want to find 1 bag of chips. So I would find the unit cost, and each bag would be 50 cents a piece. 50 cents a piece because 1 is 50, so 2 would be $1. So I just found the unit cost of what 1 bag of my Doritos would cost. And of course, you should be writing as I'm talking. So here's another example for you. What is the cost per pound if chicken is 6 pounds for $8.50? So I know y'all remember seeing that per or that each. That per means one or unit. You're trying to find the unit cost. So we have been actually doing that, but you didn't really know that you were doing the unit rate. Well, that's what it costs. That's what it's called. When you're finding one of something, then you're finding the unit rate. And of course, we've been learning how to set up proportions and solve proportions. And if you need to refer back to that, I believe we do have notes on that on your journal if you don't remember how to solve it or if you don't remember how to set it up. So please refer back to those pages if you need it. If you got it, then hey, this is going to be easy. So we do the same thing. We figure out, well, what 2 things are we comparing? And in this problem, we're comparing chicken, the pounds of chicken, to money. So pounds to money. So I go to the store and I see 6 pounds of chicken for $8.50. Well, it's just me and my daughter. I don't want to buy 6 pounds of chicken. I want to buy 2 pounds of chicken, 1 pound of chicken. So what I want to do is I want to figure out, well, how to plan my meal correctly. I want to figure out, well, how much is 1 pound of chicken and how much is that going to cost me? So I'm going to set up my proportion. I got pounds to money. So that's how I'm going to set my proportion up. 6 on top because 6 refers to pounds, and this is the abbreviation for pounds, LBS, if you're not familiar with that. And then my money. My 6 pounds cost $8.50. Well, I want to know, well, what is 1 pound? So this is my second ratio. 1 over X, my unknown, because I don't know how much 1 pound costs. So that's exactly what I'm going to figure out. So I don't want you to figure that out. I just wanted you to see how to set up a unit rate. And of course, we solve it the same. I hope somebody knows that this X is in the denominator and that is not okay. So you should flip both sides and put it in the numerator. and then solve from there. So now I have some practice for you. Your teacher is going to pass out your worksheet at this time. So if you want to pause this, you can go ahead and pause it because I'm going to do the first problem of all 4 of these worksheets for you. Go ahead and pause while materials manager passes out your materials. All right, I'm back. So let's look at this first worksheet. It says worksheet 3. Please make sure you put your name on your paper. A lot of you fail just because you don't have a name on your paper. Please put your name on your paper. That will help you pass. Also remember this week I'm not accepting late work. So we don't want to have to try to figure out whose paper is who, what, whatever. You know, I don't like excuses. Don't give me a story. All right, determine the unit rate or determine the rate. This whole packet is dealing with unit rate. So you're trying to find one of something. Notice in number 1 it says per kilogram, per hour, because you're trying to figure out one of everything on these sheets. So let's set it up real quick. If you notice, I don't have a lot of space. So if you don't write small, get you a separate piece of paper. All right, first problem. First of all, always write down what you're comparing. The 2 things that I'm comparing in this problem is kilograms to money. Kilogram bags to money. So I'm going to set up my first proportion. 12 kilograms. 12 is going to go on top. 2 for $14. So if I buy a 12 kilogram bag of pineapples, I have to pay $14. Well, what if I don't want to buy a 12 kilogram worth of pineapples? What if I want 1 kilogram? So I want to know per kilogram for every 1 kilogram. So for 1 kilogram, I'm trying to figure out, well, how much does that cost? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, from here, it's doing what we know. We know that this is not okay to have the variable in the denominator because we're trying to isolate it. We need to move it to the numerator, and we do that by flipping both fractions. Some of you are still flipping one fraction. You flip both fractions. So I'm going to rewrite that. The 14 on top, the 12 on the bottom equals x over 1. And I hope you remember that when you flip this, your variables also change. Money is now on top. Kilograms is now on the bottom. So now let's solve. Well, first of all, we want to get x by itself. So we have to get rid of the number that is under x, so that's following x, which is 1. Now, the good thing about doing the unit rate is that we're not going to have these hard numbers because everything multiplied by 1 is just 1. So if you notice here, what's going on is I don't need to go ahead and put a 1 underneath here because everything times 1 is going to be itself. But if you don't get that, then you need to go ahead and do the steps that you know how to do. And I promise it'll come to you. So we all know that 1 and 1 cancels because 1 divided by 1 is just 1. I'm going to rewrite here. 14 over 12 equals, we're left with x because it cancels. 1 times 14 is just 14, and 1 times 12 is just 12. So I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to rewrite my 1s next to it. So now I don't leave my fractions improper. I have to make sure that I divide. Top in, bottom out. 12 into 14 is 1 time. I subtract. We do not do remainders. If you do a remainder, I will put 0 on your paper. Do not do a remainder. We add a decimal and we do a 0 and we bring it down. And remember, if I add a decimal, I have to bring it up as well. 12 into 20 is 1 time. I'm left with 8 when I subtract. And I'm going to go one more time. If it keeps going on forever, that is okay, but we have to make sure that we round at least 2 decimal places. So 12 into 80, I know it's 72, so I'm guessing that's 6. And it seems like this is going to repeat over and over and over forever, so I'm going to put that line right there. So the answer to this problem is x equals $1.16. If you do your stuff on a separate sheet of paper, please make sure that you staple your work to the paper. Make sure that I know that this is number 1, and please make sure that I know that this is worksheet 3. Moving on to another example. So turn it on the back page. This will be the last example that I do. Alright, so let's look at number 1 on this page. So if you were going to use a separate sheet of paper, you would do ratios and units, because you were letting me know that this is the name of this worksheet. Ratios and unit rates. Alright, so we're reading this word problem. Harold bought 5 apples for $1.30. What is the unit price? Again, unit price meaning 1 per each one of something. Unit cycle, unit rate, unicorn, unit rate, unibrow, unit rate, one of something. So first of all, we want to figure out, well, what exactly are we comparing? Well, in the problem it says we're comparing apples to money. I'm going to set up my first ratio. 5 apples for $1.30. What is the unit price? Unit price means that I'm trying to figure out, well, what it costs for 1 apple. What is the unit cost for 1 apple? Now the thing is, they didn't say that the unit price was what they were looking for apples, but if they're saying unit price, that means price will be what you're trying to find, and apples is what you're trying to have 1 of. So then we would solve it. How we would know to solve it? We would flip the second fraction, or flip both fractions, excuse me. Once we flip, that means our money is now on top and our apples is now on the bottom. Our X is now on top and our 1 is now on the bottom. So now I can solve this. I know that I'm going to have to multiply by the number under X, which is 1 again, because anytime we're trying to find the unit rate, 1 is what we're multiplying by. We know that that cancels, and I know that everything times 1 is itself. So I don't have to go through and multiply and rewrite all of this. So I'm just going to rewrite it as $1.30 over 5 equals X. And from here, I'm going to divide. And I hope that this is looking familiar to you. 5 on the outside, $1.30 on the inside. 5 into 1, not going to happen, but 5 into 13. 2 times, we've got to bring the decimal up because this is now 20 cents I'm talking about. 10, and I subtract, and I get 3. We don't do remainders, we bring down the 0. 5 into 30 is 6, and I subtract, and I get 0. So what this means is that for each apple, I'm going to pay 26 cents. Make sure you put that decimal, because decimals are important. Alright, if you have any questions, please ask your teacher, your substitute. But please remember, they're not Miss Sanders, so don't be asking them all this crazy mess. Alright, so I hope you were paying attention. Better have my worksheet done when I get back. Good day.